Unless you've been living in the Australian outback, you know that the presidential election is just days away. Personally, I need this to be over already. It's like my first wedding night, okay? Here, once again, to help us sort through it all is our occasional visiting pundit, former New Jersey governor and ABC News political contributor, Chris Christie. Last night, Donald Trump had this to say about Liz Cheney. Pay attention to this. Watch this.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face.
So, dementia or what? What's going on?
No, I wish it were dementia. Yeah. But look, I think at some point, when you look at all the different people who defend him, they've now been reduced now to be saying, well, you can't really take everything he says literally or seriously. Well, if that's the case, why should anyone take any promises he makes literally or seriously either? You know, that is him sending a very clear message. Yeah. And that message is, mess with me, and I get back in charge of the government. Violence is coming in your direction.
So you see that as a direct threat?
Oh, well, as to Liz, absolutely. Yeah. Now, there's some times where he says it and it's more generalized, but he really hates Liz. Yeah. And hates her father. Yeah. And so that's the way he... Now, this is amazing, coming from a guy who is such a coward. Yeah. That if he, you know, when he said he was going to march up on January 6th up to Capitol Hill, I turned to my wife and I said, if he has a risk of breaking a fingernail, he's not going anywhere. He's never marching up there.
You know what I find ironic?
Isn't that statement a disqualifying statement? It should. Why is he allowed to run for president when he is saying that he will use political violence against an opponent?
It's disqualifying amongst dozens and dozens of other things he's both said and done that should be disqualifying, but this is a democracy. So the way we disqualify people in a democracy is to defeat them.
You can make threats against people, that's allowed.
But you know something can I say something on this? Something that I find incredibly ironic is the amount of time that Trump and other Republicans spend calling Kamala Harris and others communists and socialists. Yeah. I fled communism. This is exactly what communists do. Yep. They shoot their opponents, their opposition in firing squads. So pay attention. Cubanos.
Yeah, Governor, I wanted to ask you, juxtapose
the legal note first.
Yeah. Do I need to do the legal note? Yes. In response, Trump's campaign said he was criticizing Liz Cheney's willingness to start wars and send American troops into combat without having seen combat herself.
That's different.
And Trump himself has not seen combat.
Yeah. Well, when you think about the image of what we just heard there and juxtaposed with Vice President Harris standing, doing her rally at the Ellipse, but then since then, and all of that power of that contrast, you've had a couple moments with President Biden referring to some of the supporters as garbage, which he clarified, but also Mark Cuban's comments about women, which he made here, and he's also clarified. But what do you make of all of this? Does that overshadow, or is this, what's going to be the more powerful?
In the last few days, I think voters who are undecided are looking to listen to the candidates. I think the surrogates have minimal value in these last few days on both sides. And I don't think anybody really cares what Lindsey Graham thinks on the Republican side or, you know, what Mark Cuban thinks. I mean, look, Cuban has a history of saying really stupid stuff. Mark doesn't think before he talks.
He's got a lot of money.
By the way, if that were a determiner of intelligence, you know,
you can't argue with the success of the.
But I really think that, like, and he is, but he says stupid things because he doesn't think before he talks.
But he also walked it back. It genuinely wasn't what he meant. I talked to him yesterday. He knows I worked for Trump. He wasn't directly insulting me to my face. He was talking about Trump will only allow a certain level of pushback from advisors before he casts you out.
But listen,
it doesn't mean it wasn't messy.
Right. The problem with all that is that people listen to what you say. And you got to be careful in the last few days of a presidential race. If you're going to be speaking on behalf of a candidate, be careful.
Yeah. Well, let's
think about
don't threaten Liz
But
Cheney.
in the end, to answer your question, Sarah, I don't think it has any great effect. I think the real effect is what the vice president said at the Ellipse, as you referred to. I thought that was her best speech of the campaign. And when they see Donald Trump, one sitting across from Tucker Carlson, that doesn't make a lot of people feel incredibly warm. And secondly, when he says that kind of stuff about Liz Cheney, that I think has much more of an impact on voters than whatever Mark Cuban might say or or even the president at this point, who, you know, should probably just keep quiet for the next
Well,
few days.
let me ask you this about, you know, people making statements, because in addition to Trump's racist and sexist MSG rally, trash talk, and that PR stunt where he was riding the dump truck, which was stupid. Donald Trump told his rally-goers that he plans to protect women whether they like it or not. Will that, ridiculous, exactly. Will that matter?
Yeah, that's much more important than anything any surrogate says, because it tells you his attitude about women.
Right.
Now, I can only imagine, you know, we were talking about who people were voting for. I remember the first time I ever went into a voting booth, I was 6 years old, and my mother took me to go in and vote with her.
Yeah.
It was the 1968 presidential election. Wow. And my father had voted for Richard Nixon. And so we went into the voting booth, and the reason I knew that was because he told us he was going to vote for Nixon before work. My mother then took me after school, and I said, "Who are you voting for?" She goes, "The same thing I do every time I've been married to your father. I cancel out his vote." With my mother, there was nothing secret about it. I mean, we got home that night at dinner, and she said, "Yeah, I voted for Humphrey."
Yeah.
And you know, so I think it's about how it gives you an indication of how you respect everyone.
Right. Yeah.
And the fact is, when he says something like that, it shows his attitude towards women, but also his attitude towards everybody. Is that if you're not doing what I want you to do, you are, like he called John Kelly, a lowlife, or whatever adjective of the day he picks.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, the secret vote, I think for a lot of people, secret vote is a phenomenon. We saw that in 2016.
Yeah.
And we may see it again in 2024.
But calling people names is one thing. Saying you're going to be violent towards them is another.
Unacceptable.
I'm sorry. That's over the edge.
Yeah, it's unacceptable.